On March 8, 2014, at 12:42 a.m., Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 took off from Kuala Lumpur, bound for Beijing. The Boeing 777 carried 227 passengers from 14 nations and 12 crew, 239 people in all. In the cockpit sat Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, 52, and First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid, 27. Zahari had more than 18,000 hours of flight time, one of the most experienced captains in the airline's fleet. At 1:19 a.m., the captain radioed his final transmission. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Air traffic control acknowledged." Then silence. At 1:21 a.m., just 2 minutes later, the transponder broadcasting identity, altitude, and speed to ground stations stopped transmitting. The plane did not descend. It did not send a distress signal. Instead, at 2:22 a.m., Malaysian military radar recorded the aircraft, making a sharp left turn back across the peninsula, heading northwest over the Strait of Malacca. Then it vanished from every radar screen on the planet. No mayday, no beacon, no wreckage. A fully loaded wide-body jet, carrying 239 souls, had simply disappeared into the equatorial night. It remains the single greatest unsolved disappearance in the history of commercial aviation. And after 12 years of searching, the world is no closer to finding it. Within hours, the world launched the largest search and rescue operation in aviation history. 26 nations contributed warships, maritime patrol aircraft, surveillance planes, and satellite imagery, combing more than 4 million square kilometers of open water. Not a single trace of MH370 was found. The only real clue came from a British satellite company called Inmarsat. After the transponder and cockpit radio went silent, MH370's satellite data unit kept sending automated electronic pings, called handshakes, to an Inmarsat satellite over the Indian Ocean. 7 pings were logged over 6 hours, the last at 8:19 a.m., more than 7 hours after takeoff. By analyzing the time delay and frequency shift of each ping, engineers mapped a curved arc of possible positions, stretching from Central Asia down to the deep southern Indian Ocean. Fuel calculations and the absence of radar contact in the northern corridor ruled out the north. Investigators concluded the plane flew south for hours on autopilot, ran out of fuel, and crashed somewhere along a narrow band of ocean, roughly 2,000 kilometers west of Perth, Australia. That arc, known as the Seventh Arc, became the foundation of every search that followed. On July 29, 2015, 16 months after the disappearance, a man named Johnny Beeg was walking along the rocky shore of Reunion Island, a small French territory roughly 700 kilometers east of Madagascar. Wedged between rocks, he spotted a large piece of metal, about 2 meters long, covered in barnacles. It was a flaperon, a movable panel from the trailing edge of a wing. French investigators transported it to a laboratory in Toulouse and confirmed in September 2015 that it came from MH370's Boeing 777. It was the first physical proof that the plane had crashed into the Indian Ocean. Over the next several years, more than 30 additional fragments washed ashore, across thousands of kilometers of African and Indian Ocean Island coastline, in Mozambique, Madagascar, Tanzania, South Africa, and Mauritius. Among them were interior cabin panels, passenger seat fragments, a piece of engine cowling, and sections of the horizontal stabilizer. Several pieces were officially confirmed by French and Malaysian authorities as originating from a Boeing 777, yet not a single fragment carried any flight data, navigation memory, or cockpit audio. The ocean was returning the aircraft in pieces, but it was refusing to reveal why the plane went down. In October 2014, the Australian Transport Safety Bureau, the ATSB, launched the most technically demanding deep-sea search ever attempted. The search zone lay along the Seventh Arc, a strip of seabed 1,800 to 2,800 kilometers southwest of Perth, at depths reaching 6,000 meters. Much of this terrain had never been mapped before. Over 2.5 years, vessels towing deep-sea side-scan sonar scanned more than 120,000 square kilometers of ocean floor. The cost reached roughly 200 million Australian dollars, about 150 million USD, funded jointly by Malaysia, Australia, and China. In January 2017, the 3 governments suspended the search. It was the most expensive underwater survey in history, and it had produced nothing. 1 year later, a marine robotics company called Ocean Infinity offered a radical deal, a no-find, no-fee contract, worth up to $70 million, payable only if the wreckage was located. Between January and June 2018, 8 autonomous underwater vehicles scanned an additional 112,000 square kilometers from the ship's seabed constructor. Combined total nearly 200,000 square kilometers, an area larger than the state of Florida. Not a single piece of MH370 was found on the seafloor. Why did MH370 leave its planned route? The leading theory centers on Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah. Investigators from the Royal Malaysia Police recovered data from a flight simulator Zahari had built at home. Among thousands of logged sessions, they found a simulated route from Kuala Lumpur across the peninsula and south into the Indian Ocean until fuel ran out. The FBI's Digital Forensics Laboratory independently confirmed the finding. Despite this, police stated they had found no definitive motive, no suicide note, no manifesto, no financial distress, no diagnosed mental health condition. Colleagues described Zahari as passionate and dedicated. Alternative theories have never been ruled out. Some engineers point to 5 tons of lithium-ion batteries in the cargo hold, arguing a thermal runaway fire could have disabled the crew and electronics before the aircraft continued on autopilot. Others propose a sudden cabin depressurization at cruising altitude that left everyone unconscious within seconds. A smaller group suggests deliberate hijacking by an unknown third party, though no supporting evidence has surfaced. Each theory explains part of the puzzle, but none explains all of it. The one device that could settle the question. The cockpit voice recorder sits somewhere beneath 4 kilometers of water. Its locator beacon long expired, its data intact but unreachable. Why did MH370 leave its planned route? The leading theory centers on Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah. Investigators from the Royal Malaysia Police recovered data from a flight simulator Zahari had built at home. Among thousands of logged sessions, they found a simulated route from Kuala Lumpur across the peninsula and south into the Indian Ocean until fuel ran out. The FBI's Digital Forensics Laboratory independently confirmed the finding. Despite this, police stated they had found no definitive motive, no suicide note, no manifesto, no financial distress, no diagnosed mental health condition. Colleagues described Zahari as passionate and dedicated. Alternative theories have never been ruled out. Some engineers point to 5 tons of lithium-ion batteries in the cargo hold, arguing a fire could have disabled the crew before the aircraft flew on autopilot. Others propose a sudden cabin depressurization at cruising altitude that left everyone unconscious within seconds. A smaller group suggests deliberate hijacking by an unknown third party, though no supporting evidence has surfaced. Each theory explains part of the puzzle, but none explains all of it. The one device that could settle the question. The cockpit voice recorder sits somewhere beneath 4 kilometers of water. Its beacon long expired and its data unreachable. In March 2025, the Malaysian government signed a new agreement with Ocean Infinity for a third underwater search. The terms were the same: no find, no fee, $70 million payable only if the wreckage was found. The target was a 15,000 square kilometer zone along the 7th arc, selected using refined satellite analysis and updated drift modeling of the debris that had washed up on African shores. The operation ran in 2 phases. Phase 1 lasted just 4 days, from March 25 to 28, 2025, before being paused. Phase 2 began on December 31, 2025, when Ocean Infinity's vessel, Armada 8605, departed Fremantle with the most advanced autonomous underwater vehicles the company had ever deployed. For 24 days, the robots scanned the ocean floor at depths up to 5,000 meters. On January 23, 2026, the ship left the search area. Across both phases, 7,571 square kilometers had been surveyed, roughly half the designated zone. No wreckage, no black boxes. On March 7, 2026, CEO Oliver Plunkett stated, "We can say with confidence that it is not where we looked." Since 2018, Ocean Infinity has spent 151 days at sea and mapped more than 140,000 square kilometers. The contract expires in June 2026, and no extension has been announced. Families of the 239 are publicly urging Malaysia to authorize one more search before the deadline passes.